Hey everyone, welcome back to the Manchor channel. Wanted to kind of bring a little bit more of a theme around some past relationships and thoughts on marriage and just kind of where everybody lands. I'll kind of talk a little bit about some of my experience and some of the things that I've gone through, some challenges, some of my past relationships, how I view them today, and looking forward, how I'm kind of perceiving marriage and going about if that's really something that I want to do, how times have changed. So we're going to cover kind of some past and future stuff today, and I hope to hear some of your feedback and comments about what you guys are going through. So for me, past relationships, I probably have, I'm single now, but I've probably had five or six of I probably had about five or six relationships that I felt like were pretty moving for me. So it's always interesting to look back on them and to see kind of, one, who I was at that time, and two, who the other person that I was dating at the time. Now looking back at them now, it makes sense as to why we are still not together. And, I think I've definitely learned a lot from them, but only later. As, I'm sure you guys can attest to, you learn so much more, looking back and reflecting on things. So a couple of things, now that I've gotten a little bit older and, I have some different values and things have kind of changed just socially around relationships. I've learned to really let go of some of the anger and the negativity. So, if I was in a situation where the girl that I was with, maybe she stepped out on me, or maybe she started to focus on other things, I really took that personal, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. So, at the time, I kind of, internalized everything. I tried to fix it, and, I got really in my head, and I thought that was the way to be able to deal with it. And what I've learned is that it was really just a byproduct of where I was at in my life. So, if the girl stepped out on me, it was probably because in my mind I thought, I wasn't good looking enough, or I wasn't successful enough, or I wasn't making enough money. Those are all things that I thought then. And I've learned to really let go of that negativity and to really see it as I just didn't really have like a direction or like a centered place that I was really moving towards. So if the girl that was, pursuing a career over our relationship, I kind of tended to, try and pull her back from that, to try to reel her back into the relationship. And that's really wasn't the best way to go. As fixers, I kind of thought that that's the way that guys should handle things. And though it is conflicting with how we're feeling in that moment, what I've learned is that had I stopped and just taken inventory on where I was at and really gotten honest with myself about, really working on some of my own insecurities and, working on my own life and building my own self-esteem and confidence and health back, I'm sure that I would have seen a different result. Now, I don't know that I would still be with them, but, I just think that that's really the direction. And it's hard to see that when, you're emotionally deep. It's really easy to say that now when you're outside of it or when you're looking back on it. But if you're ever in a situation, I did it the wrong way. And what I know now is that I should have really focused on myself and not really what the other person was doing to me. It was really a reflection of where I was at in my life. So that's kind of where I went wrong. As I've gotten older, I've really become really appreciative and actually pretty grateful for that pain. Nobody likes pain. We're all trying to kind of avoid it. And I think that's the problem. So now that I've overcome it and gotten through it, it's really allowed me to see things holistically, see things from a 10,000 foot view. I'm not the same man that I was even 2 years ago or 5 or 10 years ago. So fuck, when I look back, it's really conceivable to know why the relationships had uh, a lot of issues. It's really believable, and it makes sense now, I guess. They're not women that I would want to be with today, and I'm sure for them it's probably, I'm not the man that they wanted to end up with. And again, that goes back to me not, being the best that I can be and optimizing, myself as a man. But I really am grateful for them. So, if on the off chance that any of them are seeing this, thank you for kind of stomping on my heart or kind of throwing me for a curve or a loop and really allowing me to, find the opportunity to figure out who I am and what I want. And I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't have the perfect recipe, but what's important is that I have that opportunity and I didn't get stuck. And though it was painful, like I'm actually super grateful that shit happened. And if I were to make any recommendations, it would be to really try and figure out how you're showing up, and that it's maybe not something that is being done to you, but is actually being done for you. So try and look at it that way and see how you can, build yourself up and become more of a stronger, honest, valiant man, and just improve yourself. Try to step away from that. I know it's tough, but learn from me. I did it the wrong way, and I wish I could go back and do it, but at the same time, that's a real big part of who I am today. So, that's really what I want to say about past relationships. Just being able to let go of them, seeing them as learning lessons, being able to move on from them, and really being grateful for them, and allowing them to be opportunities for you to be able to move forward. The next thing that I thought we would talk about is marriage. So I live in Nebraska, so this is the Midwest, and where I come from, my parents have been together for, they've been together since they were, I think that they just celebrated their 40th anniversary. God, I should know that, but I've never known my parents to not be together, and that's rare. So I don't come from a lot of a broken marriage. I don't come from, multiple dads, or like not knowing who dad is, or, mom's got a crazy problem. Like I don't come from that. So I can only empathize with it. And I know that it's something that really does cause a lot of trauma in kids. So I'm incredibly grateful that I didn't have to deal with that. So that was really the model that I grew up with. And it, probably without me even realizing it, it's still the way that I view the world now. And where I think, I'm at odds with, and what I'm really struggling with, is that it's a different time now. So, the Midwest tradition, if you're from Nebraska or kind of the Midwest, at least in my opinion, or the way that I've seen it happen, is, you meet the girl in high school or really early on in college, and you're kind of in your early 20s and you settle down. Well, when that was happening to me in college, I was noticing that all my buddies were getting married and they were starting to have kids. And at the time, I'll be honest, I kind of felt like it was like, fuck, this must be something that it must be me, and after 3 or 4 years, that I did struggle with it. Honestly, I was kind of thinking like, wow, everybody's settling down. Like this should be the time this should be happening for me. Like what's going on? And you heard about my past relationships. They weren't, they weren't going very well. So I kind of internalized it. And it was maybe 2 or 3 years later when I would start to catch up to some of these guys, that they were like, yeah, it's not going well. It's not what you think. It's a lot of work. It's, I kind of really started to see a bigger picture of this like pipe dream that we're kind of sold through media and Midwest values, that, you get married and you have kids young. And I don't even think that you really even know yourself. I don't. I'm still 35 and I'm still trying to figure shit out. So I can't imagine that anybody that age really is ready for it. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. I mean, to be totally honest with you, my parents got married. My mom was 17 and my dad was 21. Like, that's crazy young. And they're still together. So it is possible. In my experience, it's just been today. I don't see it as being the same as it used to be. And I think people really have an idea of kind of quick fix, got to have it now, need it now. They're not really willing to put in the work. So they kind of are all in it for what they can get out of it. And they're not really in tune with like what they bring to the table. It's all about like what somebody else can give me. And, if you talk to married couples now, and I do often. So if I meet a married couple, no matter what age, I always ask them like, how did you guys meet? And, tell me the story about it. They always light up, it's always a cool story. And, you kind of get the breakdown of how they met. And to be honest with you, when you watch them, when you like ask them that question, pay attention to their body language and how they're feeding off of each other. In my experience, when I ask that question, I get a really good litmus test of where things are at today. And I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but very often when I'm asking that question, I can kind of get a good sense for how happy and how things are going. And, for example, if that's like the happiest part of the relationship, right? So they should be like really excited. That should bring up some really old, good, warm memories and shit. But if they're like just telling the story and like kind of unattached and not really like, they're just kind of phoning it in, to me, that's a pretty good indication that shit ain't very good. Like marriage is like, they're kind of roommates. But I don't want to judge a book by its cover. It's just been my experience. They most of the time will tell you like, yeah, hold off, especially your buddies, like guys all the time would be like, dude, don't do it. Don't get married. Don't settle down. It's not worth it. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm honestly, fellas, like, I'm fearful about it. I have a lot to lose. I thought that it's what I wanted. And, I do get really excited about the idea of having kids and passing on my legacy and bringing up kids. That I am excited about. But to be totally honest with you, like, I'm pretty fearful about getting married. And that's at odds with what I grew up with, what I'm surrounded by, and what I thought that I wanted. So for me personally, I kind of always wrestle with this like conflicting thought of like, do I want this? Do I not? And I don't really ever get to that point. So instead of chasing that, instead of chasing women, and instead of that being my focus, I'm not going to chase women. I'm just going to chase excellence in myself. And, a big part of that is starting this channel and just kind of opening things up and trying to create a kind of an honest, transparency with the shit that I'm going through, and a community for people like you guys to be able to share and get help too. So, that's where I'm kind of moving my energy towards, and I don't know where it goes, but that's really going to be what I'm going to pursue is, creating this community for all of us, and building it up to be something that you guys are able to learn some stuff from, and for you as well to find excellence and pursue it here rather than to pursue the relationships, to pursue, things. A lot of what I've been learning is that's really kind of the woman's that's really her role is to find it. And I think once guys get focused on pursuing excellence within themselves, we hear it all the time, all of a sudden you have all this choice and they just start to show up. So that's really not why I'm doing it. I've had 35 years of like shitty luck, and I'm scared as shit to get married. So I'm choosing to pursue excellence, and I hope the same for you guys. But I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback. If there's a challenge or anything that you're going through that you want brought to the channel, you want a video on, or you need some help on, just send me an email, themancorproject@gmail.com, and I'll respond to let you know and kind of see if it's something that we're going to do in the channel. But love to hear your feedback and what you guys think about past relationships, what you're working on, and your views on marriage and other topics that you want to bring to the channel. I appreciate if you could like and share the video and subscribe to the channel for future videos. Yeah, thanks for being a part of the community, fellas. Really appreciate it. Take care.